Hey guys, I'm Rich from NeoWin, and today we're unboxing the Lenovo Yoga 7i 15. This thing's pretty cool. Lenovo reached out asking if I wanted to review it, and I accepted it mainly because it has Intel Tiger Lake processors, which it's new and exciting to me still, even though this will be my third Tiger Lake machine. The only thing that holding me back from accepting this because I'm already currently reviewing the Yoga 9i, which is like the flagship. They're both convertibles, so they're both pretty similar. They're both the 15.6-inch models. But they're different though, right? Because the 9i15 that I'm reviewing has a 45-watt Intel processor and dedicated graphics in that convertible form factor. This one, on the other hand, has Tiger Lake, which I believe is 28 watts. It can vary with that U series processor. But anyway, it's got a Core i7-1165G7, so it's got the Iris Xe graphics. Another nice thing about 11th gen processors is that it means it has faster memory. It has Thunderbolt 4. So there's some good stuff here. So let's get this open. Now, there's a couple other things that are, we'll say, missing when compared to the 9 series. For example, the Yoga 9 series has a Dolby Atmos soundbar, a rotating soundbar in the hinge, which is awesome. This also has Dolby Atmos speakers. It has two 2-watt Dolby Atmos speakers, but it just doesn't have that rotating soundbar in the hinge. Okay, I believe it also doesn't have the pen garage. Yep, yeah, there's no pen garage, so it probably doesn't actually come with a pen. Most of the 7 series stuff does not. That's the 7 series is meant to be more mainstream. So one way that you can cut costs a little bit in a mainstream laptop is to just not ship it with the pen. Whoop. And this comes with actually a 65-watt processor, which is somewhat rare on a 15.6-inch device. And that's just because 15.6-inch devices tend to have more powerful internals. You tend to get those dedicated graphics. You tend to get that 45-watt CPU. But we don't have that here, which is sort of what interests me. A U-series CPU and a 15-inch device. So this is kind of a different target audience for than perhaps, say, a Yoga 9 series or a Dell XPS 15 or a Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Extreme, right? So Lenovo does have a new Yoga wallpaper. That's completely new. They used to have a different one. And now that I'm seeing this, that means that it's going to show up on all my computers, which is super annoying. It's a Lenovo thing. And I've asked them about this. They don't even seem to know about it, but whatever. Whenever it comes with the stock wallpaper, it syncs to your settings to the rest of your PCs, so that stock wallpaper shows up on all your PCs, rather than the one that you have synced showing up on your brand new Lenovo PC. All right, so like I said, we do have those Dolby Atmos speakers up here. It's not the Dolby Atmos rotating soundbar that you would see on the Yoga 9 series, like I said. And how does that affect you? Well, I'll show you. When you're using it as a tablet, those speakers are now pointing away from you. Whereas with the 9 series, you would still get those speakers on the bottom because there's a rotating soundbar in the hinge. So that's the key difference with the speakers there. All right. And, on some laptops like HP's, they would actually put speakers on the bottom. So you always have speakers pointed at you. There are different ways of doing it. But, they're Dolby Atmos. They're both 2-watt speakers, so it's actually going to sound pretty good anyway, but just, I guess, not as good as if you had that. But by the way, that rotating soundbar is freaking amazing, so it is a little bit of a difference there. 71 watt-hour battery. This is not like a thin and light PC like we would see. I've had some LG Grams. Like, there are some 15-inch laptops that use a U-series processor, and they tend to be thin and light to compensate for not having the powerful internals. That's one of the benefits of having stuff that's not quite as powerful. So let's get that sticker off there. We do have a privacy guard on the display, so we can just on the webcam, so we can just cover it up like that. Although for Windows Hello, we do have a fingerprint sensor over here. The color is called Dark Moss, by the way. So let's also take a look at what we've got. We have two Thunderbolt 4 processors. Now, ports, I should say. And a 3.5 millimeter audio jack. So what's different about Thunderbolt 4, you might be wondering? It's basically the full spec of Thunderbolt 3. So I reviewed a lot of PCs last year that were supposed to have Thunderbolt 3. And Thunderbolt 3, Intel would boast that you can power a two 4K displays or one 5K display off of a single port. And it was awesome. And that was true for a lot of them, but not all of them, because the minimum spec only required that you, it only used 2 lanes, so you could only power one 4K display, and it was 20 gigabits per second instead of 40 gigabits per second. So now with Thunderbolt 4, we've actually got, it's the full spec is now the minimum spec. So either of these ports will be able to power 2 4K displays, or support 40 gigabit per second data transfer speeds, all the good stuff that you just didn't know if you were getting with Thunderbolt 3. So that's all there. If you got Tiger Lake, you got Thunderbolt 4 most likely, or at least right now. On the other side, 2 USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A ports, and that's always nice. That's 10 gigabits per second, and that's kind of a rarity with today's ports. You're still seeing a lot of USB 3.2 Gen 1, which is 5 gigabits per second. So that is something that's definitely nice to see. I gotta say, I'm not a huge fan of the design of Lenovo's Yoga laptops. I don't love that Yoga logo, that it's just off to the side. But one thing I like is that this is more of a green color, whereas it's usually just that dull gray. So I feel like this is a little bit more stylish. I like it. I think this is a good look. Okay. And I mean, that's mostly it. The keyboard doesn't really change. Lenovo uses great keyboards, whether you get a ThinkPad or a consumer laptop. It's a little shallower. It's kind of a lot shallower on a consumer laptop like this, though, compared to a ThinkPad, and that's fine. And then we have our 15.6 inch display. It's 1080p. I believe that's all they offer is 1080p on this model. There are 2 configurations though. There's the 250 nit regular one, and then there is the Dolby Vision HDR 400 one, goes up to 500 nits. So yeah, cool stuff. Let's see. They weren't very clear about the specs that they sent me. I'm guessing this is also going to have 16 gigs of RAM alongside, 12 gigs of RAM, right? They did tell me that. Then, of course, like I said, Core i7-1165G7, which is the Tiger Lake SKU. So that's the thing that I'm most excited about. Although the general features of the laptop are pretty cool. I got to give them some credit here. It is made of all aluminum, and the body weighs in at 4.19 pounds. So like I said, it's about the same thickness and weight as if you had that 45 watt processor and dedicated graphics. So we could also just check how much storage we've got, and I think that's 512. It is 512. So cool. All right, so that is the Yoga 7i, and I'm just going to leave it like this because I quite like the color. And I say that the biggest thing I'm excited about is Tiger Lake. I'm kind of more excited about the color. Lenovo usually sends me these Yogas that are just, it's usually called like gunmetal gray or something like that. It's just a really dull color. So I'm really excited to see something a little different. Obviously I am excited about Tiger Lake as well because that's Intel's new thing, right? That's 11th gen processors. They're just hitting the market now in new products. It's Intel's 2nd generation 10 nanometer product, and the graphics have been bumped up again. Iris Xe it's called, and yeah, so like I've used a little bit. You can play some games on it. You can do some 1080p gaming. if you're hardcore into gaming, I'd still recommend getting some dedicated graphics, you know. But you can edit a video on it. It's good stuff. It's a good product. So you know, and then of course this is a convertible form factor, and then the pen, it does seem to be sold separately. So anyway, guys, that's it. So I'll have a review on this in about a month. I have a lot of stuff in the pipe. So stay tuned. I'm Richard Neowin. Have a great night.